Kind of speaking of hires and adding people to a brewery, having a growing brewery,
Mhm.
do you prefer to hire experienced brewers? Or do you prefer to have people kind of work their way up through and get all their training through you? What's kind of your take on that?
We've always had the best performance from employees that started at the ground level, that started in the canning room or in the cellar. And we were able to get them fluency at every level of the brewery. So if you're going to kind of talk about the three main levels being packaging, cellar, and then brew house.
Hmm.
So starting people at the ground level and matriculating them up, it creates fluency across all those three main platforms. And our most successful brewers, our most efficient brewers have always started that way. In fact, all the people who eventually became my brewery managers now, they all started at the ground level.
Hmm.
And they're all able to multitask, and they're all able to jump in and help any of my staff at any point in the process.
Yeah,
And not
yeah,
just help, but guide them too.
yeah, yeah.
So given my druthers, I always like to start people at the ground level. In fact, I know there are some larger production facilities out there that even if you come in with 20 years of experience, they still start you at the ground level, even if they have
Hmm.
like a prescribed matriculation, like,
Hmm.
okay, you're a super experienced brewer, but you're going to spend a month on the canning line, a month
Yeah,
in the cellar before you hop up to the brew house.
yeah, yeah. What's your thought with hires and education? You know, brewing is one of those. It's still one of those fields, I think, where we have a lot of people that apprentice in,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of programs. There's obviously, there's a program at Davis. There's Siebel. There's some other things like that. And then increasingly, I think over the last 5 to 7 years in particular, we've seen a lot of different schools adding some measure of brewing science.
Sure.
What's your thought on that as far as hires? Do you have a preference? Would you rather just take somebody with interest, or is schooling a leg up in your mind?
Curiosity is always an incredibly valuable tool, not just in brewing, but I think in life.
Mhm.
I also think diligence and paying attention to details. I think that people who tend to have very technical, self-starting hobbies will do really well with brewing
Mm.
because it is a very technical profession.
Mhm.
As far as formal brewing education goes, I think in the totality of Beachwood, we have hired 5 people that have had formal brewing education.
Mhm.
One of them did a brewing training at Cal Poly, who's still with us. Another one did brewery training at the American Brewers Guild back east, and he was with us until very recently when he ended up going to work for the gentleman who bought my original brew pub in
Okay.
downtown Long Beach. And then we've had, let me see, we had a brewer from Davis
Mhm.
who's a really good brewer. We currently also have a brewer who went through the Siebel Domans Academy. And then we
Mhm.
had another brewer a few years back who went through the Siebel Domans Academy. And they're both great. So
Mhm.
it certainly helps. And I think it gives you an advantage. At the very least, it's exposure before you jump in.